I'm about to share something with you that you won't learn in school or from books that claim to teach you how to succeed. It's a truth so unsettling that many might choose to stop watching this video rather than confront it. If you continue, you'll need to accept a reality that will shadow every choice you make from now on. Here it is. Your poverty didn't begin the day you ran out of cash. It didn't even start when you realized others possessed things you couldn't even dream of. Your poverty began much earlier, in a place you can't pinpoint, in a subtle whisper that took root in your mind before you even knew who you were. This whisper constantly told you that you belonged at the bottom, that there were no doors for you to open, that dreaming was perilous, and that striving for more was a sin. If you're feeling a chill down your spine right now, it's because you recognize that what I'm about to reveal isn't just motivational fluff. It's a mirror reflecting the source of your stagnation. No one ever explained that poverty isn't just about insufficient wages, but also about an invisible programming handed down across generations like a quiet virus, a virus that spreads not through money, but through uncritical acceptance. You might think you're free because you can pick which shirt to wear or what show to watch tonight. However, you're actually confined within a prison without bars, constructed from second-hand thoughts and stories meant to keep you from looking up. A prison where you are your own jailer every time you choose not to rock the boat. Want to know when your imprisonment started? It was when you first innocently questioned why you couldn't have something, and someone looked away and whispered that such things weren't meant for people like us. It was that subtle, seemingly innocuous moment when you were told your ambition was dangerous, that your place was among those content with scraps, not at the table where opportunities are served. No one needed to say it outright. A resigned glance and a few fear-laden words were enough to pass on this heavy legacy. Since then, every decision you've made has been tainted by that seed of doubt, growing silently while you thought you were just being realistic. But the reality you so fiercely defend is merely a fiction, crafted by those who benefit from your silence. What you refuse to acknowledge is that poverty is a narrative, a tale spun from the moment you first opened your eyes, casting you forever in the role of the undeserving, the incapable, the settler. And the cruel irony is that as you replay this role, others profit from your compliance. Others who depend on your feeling insignificant to avoid confronting their own mediocrity. Reflect honestly on yourself. How many times have you suppressed the urge to achieve something remarkable because a voice inside cautioned you against wasting your time? How often have you told yourself that you aren't enough, that you lack knowledge, that you simply don't have what it takes? That voice wasn't born with you. It was implanted. And now you call it prudence, humility. But it's actually fear, fear passed down as a virtue. Do you dare to question who benefits from your diminished sense of self? Do you dare to confront the system that thrives on your resignation? Because that's what no one is brave enough to tell you. Poverty doesn't sustain itself. It requires your complicity. It needs you to wake up each morning convinced that you can't aim higher, to feel guilty for desiring better, to mistake compliance for goodness. And if you still think I'm overstating things, Consider your own life. How many dreams have you stifled before they could even begin? How often have you chosen silence over disruption, conformity over authenticity, fearing to betray your roots? This isn't a narrative for those who seek excuses. It's for those brave enough to admit they've been tamed, those ready to face their own timidity without masking it as wisdom. Because until you acknowledge that you were conditioned to be poor, you will continue to live out the script handed to you at birth. Today, I aim to expose that programming in all its toxicity, so you might finally ponder whether everything you've believed about your place in the world is merely a convenient lie for others. What if poverty isn't your destiny, but a story so oft repeated you mistook it for your identity? If you have the courage to listen to the end, you might find that the truest form of rebellion isn't earning more money, moving neighborhoods, or collecting degrees. The real rebellion is to deprogram yourself, to root out the voice that says you are lesser, to dare to dream with the audacity that others have assumed for centuries. Because as long as you believe you were born to ask for permission, you will continue to feed a system that flourishes only when you capitulate. Right now, you must decide what to do with what you've heard. You can proceed as if nothing has changed, dismissing this as mere hyperbole. Or you can accept that your life mirrors a script you didn't write, the script of poverty, submission, and guilt. The question no one will ask you is this: what would happen if you chose to reject that narrative and write your own, even if it means being deemed insane, even if it costs you the approval you mistake for love? What would happen if, for the first time, you believed you deserved to be free? Answer with stark honesty, for your response will shape your future. But don't assume it ends here. If you're still engaged, if you're still absorbing these words, there's something else you need to understand. Something no one has told you, because grasping it would make you dangerously aware. Poverty also thrives in how you interpret failure. No one warned you about this. No one explained that your relationship with error is one of the most powerful tools to keep you submissive and confined to the same corner you grew up in. You were taught to view failure as evidence that you should never have tried, as confirmation that your dreams are mere delusions of someone who doesn't know their place. From a young age, you were conditioned to fear mistakes more than anything else. Thus, every failed attempt, every misstep, every unworkable idea added layers of shame that you still bear today, as though they were part of your very essence. But here's the twist: that shame isn't yours. It's a toxin injected into your consciousness to ensure you police yourself. Because a poor person who fails doesn't need external reprimand. They do it themselves, bowing their head and ceasing to advance. You were taught to interpret every mistake as a divine reminder of your station, to magnify every stumble until it became a dramatic tale justifying your inaction. And while you wallow in self-criticism, endlessly dissecting your failures with merciless accuracy, others continue to advance, amass power, and exploit your inertia. Take a moment to reflect. Recall how many times you had an idea that ignited your passion, only for it to be extinguished by the fear of failure. How quickly did your hope fade into a litany of self-reproach? This is the world's most efficient factory, the one that converts curiosity into guilt, that transforms your need to explore into a gallery of failures you revisit nightly to remind yourself that you don't deserve anything different. What no one explained is that emotional poverty flourishes because it transforms learning into condemnation. They made you believe that each failure strips you of respect, that with every error, your dignity diminishes slightly. They ingrained in you that if you don't succeed on the first try, it confirms your ambitions are laughable. Does this resonate? Of course, it does. You've lived it so often you no longer question it. Meanwhile, those you admire, those who live as you dream, have spent their entire lives failing boldly in ways you've never permitted yourself, because they learned something you weren't taught. Failure isn't a sign of your inadequacy, but proof that you're progressing. Each mistake you make distances you further from the ignorance into which you were born. True poverty, the most crippling kind, isn't about lack of resources. It's about the inability to take risks. And this inability wasn't innate. It was instilled. They convinced you that error is a contagious disease and that your role is to live quarantined from anything that might expose you. This is how they cultivate compliance. This is how they ensure you never dare to attempt anything that might disturb those who benefit from your paralysis. Think about all the ideas you aborted before they could emerge. Consider the projects you dropped because you envisioned others mocking them. Reflect on the times you chose not to speak, not to inquire, not to express your views for fear of revealing your supposed ignorance. This extensive list is the inventory of your mental poverty. And if you have the bravery to confront it directly, perhaps for the first time, you will understand that your economic status isn't just about money. It's about mindset, about the stories you've been told and the scripts you've unwittingly followed. But now you have a choice. You can continue to play your assigned role, or you can start to script a new narrative, one where you are not just a passive character, but the author of your own life story. What will you choose?